What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for October 17th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Big win yesterday, but first, it is Tuesday, so let's get into our weekly dose, of motivation / positivity. And this quote is very apropos for that debacle that was the Eagles game. But I've seen it a couple different places, but mostly I credit it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If we replace the word losing with learning, there would be less dread around the idea. And nobody likes to lose. And it doesn't matter if you're playing Uno, if it's a high-stakes poker game, if it's the Super Bowl, World Series, whatever it is, nobody likes to lose. And over the past couple of months, I've been talking a lot about learning from mistakes and growing and just having that growth mindset. And obviously, it's important in sports, especially after Sunday's Eagles games. Like, the hope is that they get it together, learn from it, and are able to be better. But more importantly, I think it's a good lesson in life. You're never going to get 100% of everything you do, even on the first time, second time, third time, whatever it is. So I think it's important to have that mindset that you're learning and growing from something. And whether it's your job, whether it's a workout routine, trying to lose weight, it's a good message for kids. Like, just keep working at it and learn from your mistakes, and don't think of it as losing or not achieving your goal. Think about it as a learning opportunity and a stepping stone to get better. And I know we talk a lot about that at my school, trying to instill that in my kids. Like, okay, you're not the best yet, but continue to work at it. And if you lose, that's fine. Learn from it, and move on. Don't necessarily be a sore loser or get caught up in it. So I really do think that's a good message for today, especially in light of that Eagles game. If you replace the word losing with learning, there'd be less dread about it. So just continue to learn, and everything will be fine. Okay. So let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and that Phillies game. And it's very, very awesome to see. They're just very businesslike. They just really, it's like they're motivated to win, and they just go about it and just boom. And yeah, again, with the celebrations and everything, I've talked about this, but man, like 3 home runs in like 23 pitches, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. And the bullpen shut it down when they had to. They do like it to make it interesting. Kimbrel, I feel like, just doesn't pitch well unless he has a runner on base. But that's okay. But I can't get over the focus. And I know they were talking about it on the radio the other day. So if you are listening, WIP, I'm open and available for a daily spot, a daily hit on the morning show, afternoon, whatever, midday. I'll do all 3 if you need me to. But they were talking about the same thing, how it's very, like last year, they were very just in awe and like soaking in the atmosphere. And this year, it just seems like they are focused on getting back. And I mean, everything they say kind of goes back to that. Like, we want the World Series ring. And like, it's just, I've noticed it the entire postseason. It's just like, even if you think back to the regular season in August, when it was kind of obvious they were pulling away with that for the top wild card spot, they weren't catching the Braves. They were working things out. They were getting things set up and trying guys out. And like, everything was toward that common goal. And I think that's an important mindset to have, especially now that you're in the NLCS. And it's just like, let's go to work, have fun later, but we have a job to do. And it just seemed like that the whole game yesterday, it was just, everything was very like, we're focused on the goal. And that's not to say it wasn't enjoyable to watch. It was amazing to watch. This team is a lot of fun to watch, but you can kind of see it in their mentality and their mindset that they are ready to go. And I mean, I really, really hope we see playoff Nola tonight. If we see playoff Nola, this series might be over in 5. And I do think the crowd was just out of control. I saw pictures that, like, quote unquote standing room only seats, like in Ashburn Alley, you couldn't even walk. Like, it was just incredible. And I love the red towels. And I don't know if anybody's ever really spoken about that. Back when we used to have the Sunday package and we go down, all the rally towels were white. But there's something about having that red towel. It's just very intimidating feel, and I like it. So let's keep it rolling. Playoff Nola tonight. Let's hope we see that in the bullpen, and let's just continue this hot streak too, man. Just keep hitting bombs. I think Schwarber is about ready to start heating up. He's been due, and this is kind of what he did last year too in the NLCS. So hopefully this is sort of like his June. He doesn't really heat up until June when it's the regular season. Hopefully he just doesn't heat up until the NLCS, and he can ride that momentum into a World Series title. I also look for Bohm to really start stepping up at the plate this series too. He's due. But man, what a fun time to be a Phillies fan. So this was really cool. We are 7 wins away from the World Series, or 7 wins away from winning the World Series, 3 from just getting there. And it's time you go to phillygoat.com, get that Believe shirt. I saw them wearing it on the field. Like Bohm was wearing it. I saw a couple of the relievers wearing the Believe shirts. You got to go check out phillygoat.com, get that Believe shirt. Among the other shirts that they have. And they just I wouldn't be surprised if they drop a new one today, just because it's Tuesday and the Phillies won. But go to phillygoat.com, check out that Believe shirt. I mean, they're wearing it on the field. Like, you go right to Philly Goat's website, and there's Alec Bohm with the Believe shirt. So go to phillygoat.com, get your Believe shirt, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, 10% off. Let's go. All right, taking it back to the Eagles. Kind of put a bow on last week's game today, but I did mention Sirianni mentioned about learning and growing from it. And I really like the fact that he didn't speak to them after the game. He kind of left it on them to sort of the leaders to police themselves and really hold each other accountable. A.J. Brown actually talked about it in his post-game interview. And I like it because it kind of gives the sense like he could go in there and yell and scream and throw chairs and break chalkboards and things like that. But at the end of the day, and think about when you were a kid, what was worse, when your parents were mad at you and yelled at you, or when they gave you the, I'm just so disappointed in you? And I think the message when they were disappointed in you, and I'm starting to learn it as a parent myself now, sometimes being just expressing really how you feel, like instead of just yelling and screaming because you're angry and disappointed and pissed off, tell the truth. I'm disappointed in what you guys did. And I think Sirianni letting the players take ownership of that and him not saying anything really, really speaks volumes. And it seems like they really had a good team meeting, team vibe, holding each other accountable and like really working through what worked and what did not work for that game. I actually did something similar one time. I mean, granted, it was like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, but I did it when I was coaching Little League. It was just one game where they just did not play up to their potential. They were fooling around. And I was like, you know what, guys? I have nothing to say. I just really don't. You guys are better than that. I'm disappointed in how. And they came out that next game, and they were the best I've ever seen them play. So there is some merit to that. So hopefully we see the Eagles come out against the Dolphins now with that same mindset, same mentality. They're going to learn and grow and try to not make dad disappointed anymore. Also, too, I wanted to point out, and I saw this on Twitter, and I forget what, I think it was a news outlet. It may have been Reuben Frank, actually. I'll give him credit because I think it was him. But somebody was talking about how bad the offense was and how bad of a job Brian Johnson was doing this year. And the offense, like the statistics are basically across the board are very, very similar to last year, believe it or not. And I was kind of floored too, but the numbers are very similar. So Brian Johnson isn't doing that bad of a job. It feels like the Eagles aren't clicking, but they're doing what they're doing. They're just making way more mistakes that are uncharacteristic of what they did last year. And I think that's the difference, but it's not all doom and gloom. Like I said, Sirianni says there's a lot of growth to be had in a loss like that. I believe him. I have full faith in him, and I trust him. But that game was absolute trash. Speaking of trash, looking to get your car more organized, carcan.com. The main product they have is it's a trash can. You can use it for storage. Buy a couple of them. going on a long trip, because I know we go to the Outer Banks every May. Or recently it's been every other May, but either way, that's a long trip. You can use it as a cooler. You don't have to hear the kids saying, can you give me this? Put some ice in it. Put their juice boxes, bottles of water, whatever you want right there. Throw some cheese sticks in, a yogurt. They're good to go. The products they have are incredible. And I keep mentioning it. I just went out looking for a marker during a commercial break during the Phillies game yesterday for my son. And I found a lot. I didn't find the marker, but I found whether it was goldfish or goldfish wrappers, fruit snack wrap, you name it. It was the trash just underneath the back seat of my truck. I am getting a car can. I'm just waiting for it to come because they both need to put their trash in there. So go to carcan.com, check out the products they have. Like I said, organization, trash, it even works as a cooler. But go to carcan.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off for 20% off of your order. It makes a great Christmas present as well. Even for your coworkers, maybe not for a family member. You got to buy gifts to the people at the office. They have bulk deals where you can buy more than one and get a discounted rate on shipping, as well as if you buy in bulk, you get less, or they take more money off. Plus, use that 20% off using the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off. You got the whole office. There you go. Boom. Carcan.com. All right, Flyers home opener tonight. And the poor Flyers are kind of like the third wheel tonight down in South Philly. And they're opening it up against the Canucks. It'll be another good test for them. I'm sure the crowd is going to be rocking. They just Flyers fans, that's what they do. But it should be a fun atmosphere. They moved the game time up to 6 to accommodate the traffic, because there's also, along with being the Phillies game, the Mexican national team is taking on the German the German national team at Lincoln Financial Field. So it's going to be a traffic nightmare. If there's ever a silver lining about not getting tickets to winning the lottery and being able to get tickets for the Phillies, it's the fact that it's going to be a traffic nightmare. I highly suggest you take the subway if you're going down. Like, you honestly might as well go down now. Like, that would be the best way to do it. Sixers news, no update on the Harden front, but they did play the Nets in preseason action, winning 127-119. No Joe, no James. Joe was feeling a little under the weather. So Nick Nurse said, no, we're not even going to risk it. But I'm telling you, something's going to happen with this trade before the season starts. I just feel it. All right. Today, we're going to go back to 1954. And on this day in 1954, the Eagles beat Washington 49-21. Eagles quarterback Adrian Burke threw for 7 touchdowns. More on that in a minute. 3 each to Pete Pios and Bobby Walston. He did it by going 19 for 27 for only 242 yards. Did throw an interception. At the time, he was only the second quarterback to ever throw 7 touchdowns in a game. To date, now 8 have done it. Sid Luckman, Burke, George Blanda, Y.A. Tittle, Joe Kapp, Peyton Manning, Nick Foles, and Drew Brees. The Eagles obviously are the only team on there to do it twice. Burke, though, it didn't necessarily mean a lot for his career. He was basically not a good quarterback. He spent 6 years in Philly, threw 55 touchdowns, but 77 interceptions, only 6,200 yards. It was a different game back then, too. But his completion percentage was only 47%. And that 1954 season was the only time he threw more touchdowns than interceptions. And the only reason he came in and was able to do that was because of the 7 touchdowns he threw in that game. By comparison, Nick Foles, when he did it, went 22 for 28 for 406 yards when he did it out in Oakland. But on this day, in 1954, the Eagles beat Washington 49-21. Quarterback Adrian Burke became the second NFL player to throw for 7 touchdowns in a game. First Eagle, and then Nick Foles did it back, I believe that was 2013. He did it out in Oakland. But Adrian Burke, that was the high point of his career, so shout out to you, sir. All right, so going to our Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame focus, gearing up for that. Induction ceremony November 2nd. Today we're going to focus on a 2023 inductee, local guy from Roncocas Valley High School, and that is wide receiver Irving Fryar. Irving went to Nebraska, where he was the 1983 consensus All-American. He was the number 1 overall pick by the New England Patriots in 1984. 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Player of the Week. He won the Bart Starr Award for outstanding character and leadership in the home field and in the community. For his career, he had ranks 4th all-time in receptions with 851, 5th all-time with 84 receiving yards, 7th all-time with 12,785 yards. He's in the Nebraska Hall of Fame, the Orange Bowl Hall of Fame. Did spend 3 years with the Eagles, where he made 2 Pro Bowls, went over 1,000 yards 2 times. Has a very strong case to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on the numbers. That's why I read those numbers out. Unfortunately, a couple things dog him throughout his career. The fact that he played on a lot of bad and mediocre teams. The Patriots weren't very good when he played for them. The Eagles were the second tier when he played for them, behind the Cowboys. He did have some off-the-field issues with a mortgage scandal, where he did go and serve some time in prison for that. And unfortunately, I think and we talked about this with on last week's Back to the Future with Dick Allen. A lot of times these writers and the voters tend to bring in some of the stuff that happened outside of your playing career and use it against your case to be in the Hall of Fame. And I don't necessarily think I agree with that, because I think what you do on the field is what you should be measured for the Hall of Fame for. And based on the numbers and what I just read to you, I think Irving Fryar has a very, very strong case to be a Hall of Famer. But I do think, combine the fact that he played on a lot of bad teams with the off-the-field stuff, and that's what's keeping him out. But congratulations to you, Irving Fryar, on your induction to the 2023 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. If you want more information on Irving or any of the other 2023 inductees, go to PhiladelphiaSportsHallOfFame.org. Excuse me. You can get information on buying tickets. And again, I keep saying it, but if you're going, let me know. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to know how you can help or volunteer with the Hall of Fame, or for information on any of the past inductees, go to phillyhall.org. And it's very easy to navigate, and everything you need is right there. But on this day, back in 1954, the Eagles beat Washington 49-21 behind Adrian Burke, 7 touchdowns in one game. One of 8 guys to ever do that in NFL history. Going to be a mess down in South Philly tonight, so sit down, buckle up, and enjoy the game from your couch. If you're going, Godspeed, because it's going to be a nightmare. You might as well leave now in order to get there. And I'm recording this at 5:59 a.m. in the morning. But Phil's looking to take a commanding 2-0 lead. I think they get it done. We need playoff NOLA tonight. We need playoff NOLA. Whatever you need to do, wear your pajamas backwards, just get playoff NOLA there. All right, this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, go Phils.